चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोर्श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरकृष्णे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, chapter number 5, verse number 21. Maitreya is answering the questions raised by Vidura, and he began answering the questions and said that your questions are very nice because they will bring welfare to the humanity, because this is the problem which is faced by people in the world. Everybody suffers and he asked for the solution, and he also glorified him as a person because he is son of Vyasa. Vyasa actually had son as Sukadeva Goswami, we all know, but he had 3 more sons which are not popularly known as his sons, because in India there was a custom before that if the husband is impotent, and now they get some other system. They have some bank or whatever. So, or if the wife is not potent, then they have surrogate mothers. So previously there were no banks like this. So the banking system did not exist in those days. So they had another system, and that was called Niyoga. It is also one type of yoga. It's called Niyoga. So Niyoga was that the wife could get pregnant from the brother of the husband. So now it is also, the whole story is very complicated. Shantanu had his wife as Ganga, the river Ganga, personified, and from her 8 children were born, and 7 were thrown by the wife into the Ganga river. And when the 8th one was born, then she was also going to throw that. So the husband stopped her, and the condition on which she married Shantanu was that if you ever stop me from doing something, then I will leave. So she immediately left and left the child. So the child was brought up and he became Bhishma, the great warrior and great devotee of Krishna. And later on the king had no wife. Now, king without wife, it is also a difficult thing. A rich person without wife, how is that possible? Some poor people can live without wife, but not a rich fellow. So he fell in love with one girl of a fisherman, whose name was Satyavati. And this Satyavati, she had a very special fragrance. These days people put perfumes, right? And they have perfumes to incite passion. There is so much big industry about the perfumes and big ads. And all these ads, if you see, they are all about passion. So she had a natural fragrance from her body, and it would smell miles and miles, such a strong perfume. Wherever she went, people knew that she is coming. That's also a trouble. Means no privacy. So this king fell in love with her, and then there is a whole story. They got married, and she gave birth to two sons, Vichitravirya and Chitrangada. So one of them died in a battle, and other one, you have to take a humble position. If you come late, you have to be humble. So the other person, the other brother, Chitravirya, he had two wives, but he died very young without having any children. So the wives became widow, and now there is no male in the family except Bhishma, and he was not married. So how to continue? So this Satyavati, before she was married to King Shantanu, she has given birth to Vyasadeva. All these great people were born in a very abnormal manner. Vyasadeva is son of Parashara. If anybody has studied Jyotish, then they know who is Parashara. Parashara has a system of Jyotish in India. There is a famous book called Parashara. So he was a great astrologer. And one day he was on the bank of Yamuna, and he has to go to the other side. And in those days there were no bridges. So you have to cross the river, either you swim or you take a boat. And in the scriptures it is forbidden to cross the river by swimming. In Manusmriti it is said that don't cross the river by swimming. So the sage could not swim, he has to go by boat. And Satyavati's father, fisherman, he was also a boatman. And Satyavati's duty was to take people up and down, ferry boat. So the father told that you take him to the other side. And when he was sitting in the boat with this girl with passionate fragrance, he became passionate. Of course it is described like that, but the reason was that being an astrologer, he realized one thing, that now is the time that if I produce a child, then a great personality will be born. This is the advantage of knowing astrology. So he asked this girl, because there was no one else around. He was desperately looking for this opportunity, that if I could produce a child now, this is such an auspicious moment and place that actually God will take birth. So he became very impatient because he did not want this time to be lost. And he knew that the person who will be born will do welfare to the society. So he asked this girl that, I want to have sex with you. So the girl was shocked. Says, what is this? You're a sage and I'm not even married. And it is completely out of any religious principle that unmarried girl is going to have sex with somebody. So she refused. She said, how is that possible? So he convinced her, because men can have good logic and women are a little bit weak in that department. So he put his logic on her, and he also little bit enticed her, because Satyavati used to have smell like a fish because she was born from a fish. That is another story. I already told you that Mahabharata is a very interesting plot, better than Harry Potter. So she used to smell like a fish, from natural smell from the body. So he said that I will make your body very fragrant. And this is very attractive for a woman. For any, especially young girl, it is very attractive offer that your body starts giving nice fragrance. So he said, I have nothing to lose. And he also said that you will not lose your virginity, because I have that power. So that's how Vyasa was born. But when he was born, he did not stay with the mother, and he grew up immediately. And he was born in an island. That's why he's called Dvapayana. Dvapayana means born on the island. So the sage created fog all around and did his act, and then made Satyavati very fragrant. So nobody knew this. So then Vyasa knew that she is my mother, and then he said that I am not going to stay here because that will also be embarrassing for the mother. And he said that I will go to the Himalayas, and anytime you need, you just remember me and I will be present there. So Satyavati thought of this niyog process, that now the brothers are dead, her sons, and the wife did not have any children, so she thought that she can call Vyasa to produce children. These two wives. So Vyasa came. So usually people will be happy to do that, but in Kali Yuga it is forbidden, because when one does this ceremony, there is a particular way it has to be done, and one should not have any idea of lust. It is actually like a ritual done only to impregnate. So one has to have complete sense control. And Vyasa is not a very beautiful person to look at. He is dark in color and not shaved, matted hair. So these two ladies, they became very scared when they saw him. They are like queens, And some guy is coming from the forest who wants to mate with them. So one of them closed her eyes, and therefore the child was born as blind, Dhritarashtra. And the other became terrified and pale. Therefore the Pandu was born, who was yellow in color. And then there was also a maid servant. She thought, let me also take advantage, because she was also not married. In India there was a custom, when the princes were married, along with that their servants will also go. If there was a princess and she got married to a prince, then princess, they had their maid servants They were like their friends and servants, and they will be with them for their whole life. So when the princess got married, then these girls also came in dowry along with that. And the princess took care of them, and sometimes they will also produce children in them, because they also, or they will get married there. So this Vidura's mother, who was maid servant of these queens, she also requested Vyasa that since I am serving them and they are going to get children, I would also like to have. And that's how Vidura was born. So this is the story where it says that Bhratu Kshetre Bhujishayam Jata Satyavati Sutat. That Vidura was born from the son of Satyavati. Because one may wonder that how Vyas is son of Satyavati, because Satyavati is wife of Shantanu and mother of Vichitraviri and Chitrangana. So she gave birth before marriage. So now he speaks one more verse explaining the greatness of Vidura. Says Bhavan Bhagavato Nityam Sammatah Sanugasya Cha Yasya Jnano Upadeshaya Madishad Bhagavan Brajan. He says that indeed you are very dear to the Lord, Maitreya is saying, and also to his devotees. Says, what is the reason? I mean, do you have any proof of this? So he says, yes, I have proof. He says, Yasya Jnano Upadeshaya Madishat Bhagavan Brajan. That when Krishna was leaving the earth, and just before leaving, he had instructed Uddhava, his personal servant. And when he was instructing Uddhava, Maitreya was also present. And then he told to Maitreya that you should give this knowledge to Vidura. So that means of all the people, Krishna remembered Vidura at that time. He did not remember anyone else. He said that this knowledge, so he says, Mam Adishat Bhagavan Brajan, that he ordered me to give this knowledge to him. So that shows how great is Vidura, that he had such a fortune, that because when a person is leaving, when a person is dying, then they remember things to which they are attached. Like we have the story of Ajamila in 6th Canto. When he was dying, so he remembered his youngest child. His name was Narayana, because he was very much attached to him. So of course Krishna is not dying when he is leaving, but before he leaves, he remembers Vidura. So that's why Maitreya is even saying that you are so fortunate and great that you are respected even by God and his devotees. In the 1st canto there are prayers of Bhishma, and there Bhishma also remembers Vidurena Mahatmana. So that is because here Anuga is only in singular, not in plural, so it refers to like one devotee. So Bhishma also had respect for Vidura because they lived together, and Vidura was like nephew to Bhishma. So he was very much influenced by him. So after this, let's see if I can count. Then he starts speaking. He says, Atate Bhagavan Leela Yogmaya Bringhita Vishwastiti Udbhavantartha Varnami Anupurvashaha. He says, now I'm going to describe to you the pastimes of the Lord, which he has requested. Bhagavad Leela, in Sanskrit pastimes are called Leela. Leela means a play, pastime, because Lord, whatever he does, he is not bound by anything. He is totally free and he does everything for his pleasure. Lokvattu Leela Kaivalya. When he comes on this planet, he behaves like human beings, but that is also his Leela. And this, he says, he is going to describe. His pastimes, they are expanded by the help of Yogamaya. There is one personality called Yogamaya. There are two types of Maya. There is Mahamaya and Yogamaya. Mahamaya is that which bewilders the living beings, and because of that people become forgetful of Krishna and God. And there is Yogamaya which links us to God. So that's why it is called Yogamaya. Maya means it makes us forget. So Yogamaya also makes us forget that Krishna is God, but makes devotees remember Krishna. Krishna's devotees, they don't know that Krishna is God. That's why they are able to play with him. If they always remember that he is God, then they will be scared to do anything with him, because there will be so much awe and reverence. So they consider him as their friend or son or master or husband or lover. That is because of Yogamaya. And Mahamaya also makes us forget, but she puts us into the illusion that we can enjoy this material world. So Krishna's activities, they are performed with the help of Yogamaya. Whatever he is doing, whether he is creating or maintaining or destroying or any other thing. So for that it says Visvasthiti Udbhavanta Udbhavantartha. That these are three prominent activities Krishna does here in the material world. So complete personality of God means that he is not just creator. Usually people think that God means one who creates or one who blesses. This is the concept. But if something is destroyed or big calamity happens, then they think that this has nothing to do with God. So God is also the destroyer. And destruction is also necessary because it renews. That's why it goes into the cycles. Like when we become old, then we die, then take birth again. So then you got a new fresh body. So the universe also becomes old. Like now things are getting polluted. Everything is getting polluted. So then it has to be refreshed. So you build a house, it becomes old, you break it, then make it new again. So this is the activity which is also done by God, because who else can destroy this big universe? You can maybe destroy one planet with all the nuclear bombs, but that also not completely. So it is God only because he knows how the atoms are working together. So what he does is that he shakes the atoms. Because in science they are unable to understand that how is that in the nucleus there are protons, right? And protons have a positive charge, and around the nucleus there are electrons, and they have a negative charge. So why the electrons are not collapsing into the nucleus and merge with them? Because opposite charge they attract. So Pradeep, what do you say for that? You are a scientist. Why electrons are not going into the nucleus?
Because they are in fixed orbit.
Yeah, they can leave the orbit. Who is stopping them? Nobody has put them in the orbit, and they are not going in one. Their orbit also keeps on changing. Sometimes they are going this way, sometimes this way, sometimes. It's not that they have a fixed orbit. They only have a probability of being in that area. They don't have a fixed
That
orbit.
repulsion and attraction is there in between the neutron and the electron. There is attraction and repulsion is there. Because of that.
Which repulsion?
This electron repulses main from the nucleus.
What repulses? Proton is positive.
Yeah, that
And nuclear electrons are
negative.
negative. So where is the repulsion? That should be attractive.
But the orbit in
तुक्का मत मारेगा.
Because of the God.
So all God has to do is that make these electrons lose their orbit and then finished. Then when they will go from outer orbit to inner orbit, they will release energy. This is how the nuclear bomb works. Then so they talk of the weak forces and strong forces and all this, so many things they have assumed. But that's why you say that there is Sankarshan. Have you heard this name, Sankarshan? Sankarshan means force of attraction in Sanskrit. So in Vedic scriptures it is described that Sankarshan is holding the earth on his hand. So he actually signifies this force. And when the destruction will be done, then what happens? That fire will come from his mouth, right? Shesha. With an expansion of Sankarshan, and everything will collapse. So this is a way of describing it, but actually it will happen in a scientific manner. So they are big scientists, they know how to handle things. And then when time for because Krishna is also a scientist. He is the one who has created, so he knows how to destroy. He is the one who made the atoms. So Prakriti contains Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, right? And atom contains electrons, protons and neutrons. So those are the three gunas. And then what he has to do is, the destruction is done by tamas. So make the tamas a little bit active. Tamas is just sitting, the neutrons. They are balancing. That's what Ayurveda says, that this is the balancing power. This is the potential energy and the kapha. So that balancing energy will be imbalanced. When imbalance is done, then there is destruction. So only God can do that. So God is a good guy, he is also the destroyer. So these are the three features of God. Therefore God. G for generator, O for operator, D for destroyer. That makes him God. So he says, Vishwa Sthiti Udbhavantartha Varnayami Anupurvasha. Says, I am going to describe to you in the proper order. And the reason is, he was asking about Krishna Leela, and Maitreya starts talking about creation, maintenance, destruction. So he says, what is this? He said, give me the essence. He had used the word Kathasu Saram, just like a honey bee. Just get the essence. So this creation, etc. is not the essence. So the reason is that God has got two types of features, aspect. One is his majestic feature, other is his human-like feature, non-majestic. ordinary type. So before, an ordinary type is more relishable than the majestic type. It looks although paradoxical. But his activities, which are ordinary type, they are more relishable, more sweet, more enjoyable, give more bliss, and more full of love than the other one where he looks that he is really God. So Vidura wants to hear the Madhurya, the sweet types, but before you hear that you have to know that he is God, so that we don't make a mistake of considering him as an ordinary person. So God, when he comes on earth, he acts like a human being, which means a big person acting like an ordinary person. Like he was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He is God, nobody is greater than him, nobody is equal to him, but he was doing a very menial type of job, driving chariot. Not just a driver. And in the West, maybe anything, but in India, driver is considered as a low class job. Because in India there is class system. There is very much, Indian people are very classy. They believe in classes. They don't believe in classless society. They are classy and classical. So there are classes here. And there are high class, low class, middle class, in between class. So driver is not a very high class job. High class people don't drive. So if somebody is rich here, then they don't drive themselves. And they have sufferers to drive them around. So Krishna was chauffeur for Arjuna in front of everybody. Now you can do some low class job behind the curtain so that nobody sees you. But to do it in open and in front of other great people, that takes a lot of courage. So this is Krishna. He actually was like American. Because in America nobody feels shy if he has to become taxi driver. In the West they don't feel anything like that, right? So Krishna came from West maybe. Because he did not feel shy to do anything like this. He was quite comfortable driving the chariot. Normal Indian will never do such a thing. Because these people who used to drive, there is a particular class, they are called Sutas. So Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, they will not sit next to them and eat in the same row. It's not done thing. And when people eat in the olden days in India, it was not that anybody can sit next to anybody and eat. No. They had a whole system who can sit with whom. So that is class system. So Krishna, he was driving chariot like a Western fellow, not bothering. So this is called very sweet. When a big man does some job which is considered as low class, then that becomes great for him. He even got a name, Parthasarthi. He did not want to hide. He said, let me be remembered as Parthasarthi. He forgot about his original name as Krishna and became popular as driver of Arjuna. So that people know that this guy is a driver. So this is his greatness. He shows that what love means. People, they say I love, then after 2 days they are fighting for small thing. Says, why did you step on my shirt? Or why did you kick away this? For small things, people who seem to be saying that they love each other, and they repeat this statement many times a day because it is prescribed by some authors that every day this person who has written these books, men are from Mars, women are from this. So he's saying that every day the husband should tell wife at least 5 times that I love you. So this is a prescription. So people are fighting for small things. Why do they fight? Because they cannot give up their ego. And ego is a complete enemy of love. These two things cannot stay. It's like we were reading that bhakti cannot tolerate these other garbage type of things. So she cleans the heart. She is the queen and stays by herself. So in the same way, love and ego, because love means also devotion. There is no question of love without devotion. Love means service, love means surrender. Therefore, it cannot tolerate ego. So when love comes, then ego says go. And if there is ego, then there is no love. That is the test. It's very easy to test whether somebody loves you or not. It's not very difficult. All you have to see is the ego. And that is not hard to see, because everybody is trying to flaunt their ego without asking. Everybody wants to display, right? So in case of Krishna, he does not have any such ego. That's why he is very lovable. He is called Prema Avatar, personification of love. Why? Because he is driving chariot of his friend happily. When Yudhishthira Maharaj performed this Rajasuya Yajna, so Krishna, he took the job of washing feet, because that was another custom in India. When guests came to the house, then you have to wash their feet. So thousands and thousands of guests were coming because they were invited to participate. This was like a world festival. Sometimes they have like this music festival, a lot of people go for that. So this was like that. And when they come, they have to be given food, place of arrangement. So when they were sitting down, the Pandavas, you have to plan in advance. So they were sitting together with Krishna and Pandavas and their children, and of course I think children were dead, and Parikshit was there. That who is going to take what duty? There is food which has to be cooked, and it has to be served, raw material have to be purchased, people have to be put in their respective rooms, hot water, morning tea. So all these arrangements. So and then there were people who have to give charity. So all these duties were being taken. When it came to the duty that who will wash the feet, so nobody raised the hand, because everybody is feeling, well, how can I do that? I am Arjuna, I am known all over the world as a big hero, and I have to touch others' feet. So Krishna, he realized this. So he said that I will do, because he did not want that people find any fault in the arrangement of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Even if Krishna would have asked somebody, say Nakul or Sahadev, that you take this, he will not refuse it, but he will not do it from his heart. So Krishna did not want anyone to do something without the liking. So he himself accepted it, so that there is absolutely no fault finding, and people are really happy. So that shows that how much Krishna is actually devoted to his devotee. He is called Bhakta. Bhagavan Bhakta Bhakti Man. That God is a devotee of his devotee. And there is a competition between Krishna and his devotee. Devotee wants to serve Krishna, Krishna wants to serve his devotee. And this is the transcendental competition. So this is love. Love is not showing ego, love is actually showing surrender. And humility is natural characteristic in love. So that he is describing that before we understand that, we also have to know that it is the same Krishna who can destroy this universe just by raising his eyebrow. Don't think that he is an ordinary person just because he was walking with the Pandavas, he was with the Yadavas. He is the same person that this big universe can crumble into pieces in a second by his power. And that person becomes so devoted to his devotee. Then only you realize the sweetness of his pastimes when you understand. So for that reason, first we have to understand the majesty of God. How majestic he is. How powerful he is. Various types of inconceivable mystical powers he has. He can do things which we can never imagine. And then same person behaves as if he is powerless. He plays with his friends that defeat him. And then he has to carry them on his back. If you are powerful, you never want to be defeated by anybody. So to be powerful and then become defeated, this is his love for his devotee. He feels pleasure in doing that. So for that reason he says that first I am going to describe you these activities of creation, maintenance, destruction expended by Yogamaya, the Lord. And I am going to tell them in order. Anupurva or Anupurvashaha means in order, which means how he creates, how he maintains, how he destroys. That is the order. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says, न केवलं यमत्वेन त्वम् अधिकृता भक्त एव किंतु भगवन् नित्य पार्षदोऽपि प्रकाशांतरे भवसि इत्याह भवानिति. So earlier we had read that when Krishna was here and he had his eternal associates, and while he was present on earth with his associates, then various demigods who take care of the universe, they had also entered into the bodies of these associates. And when Krishna left, then they went back to their respective places, and the eternal associates went to Krishna's eternal abode because they are always with him. So Vidura is also two in one. He is Yamaraj, as we read, that Yamaraj was cursed by the sage Mandavya. So when he was cursed by sage Mandavya, then that you have to take birth on earth, or you have to take a birth, then he was little puzzled that where I will be born, because he can be born as a demon, demoniac fellow. So he ran and he entered into Vyasa's body. So I want to be born from him. So this was the reason that Vyasa has to impregnate and bring him out. What can he do? Yamaraj came and entered into him. So we know from Ayurveda and also from Bhagavatam that the soul enters into the body of the man and through the semen enters into the womb of the woman. So he was very scared that I should not get lost somewhere. So he went into Vyas and was born as Vidura. So that is one, Vidura. And then Vidura is also an eternal associate of Krishna. Before Krishna came, then his associates started coming up. Like when a big person is going somewhere, if the President of America goes somewhere, then so many arrangements are made in advance. And many of his people will go there, the police will go, and various level of security will go. They have some 7 levels of security. So they will all go in advance. And they are always doing this. So when Krishna came, then his associate Vidura also came. So this Vidura is 2 people. One is the eternal associate Vidura, and other is the Yamaraj, the Lord of Death Vidura. And both are together. So in the previous verse, he has talked of Yamaraj, that Mandavya Shapat Bhagwan Praja Sanyamano Yamaha Bhratu Kshetra Bhajishayam Jata Satyati. It was Yamaraj who was born in Vidura. And now in this particular verse, he is referring to the eternal associate. This is the meaning. Therefore he says Nitya Parshado. Now this explanation is given only by our acharyas. There are other commentators, they don't explain it like this. So it is Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. They are commenting like this. So they have this understanding. So Mam Vrajan Vakuntham Gachan, that he instructed Maitreya while leaving for Vakuntha. Tatra Prathamam Yatha Sasarjai Grahe Idam Niriha iti Tat Prasnasya Uttaratvena Purusha Avatar Leelam Vachmi Itya. So he has asked question earlier, Vidura, that how does he create Yatha Sasarjai Agra Idam Niriha. This is one of his questions. That how did Lord create this world? Because he has no desire. Usually you create when you have some desire in your mind, otherwise why do you create? So Vidura was asking this, that how did Lord create this big universe, not some small thing, such a big universe when he has no desire? Usually it is seen that those people who have many desires, they do many things to fulfill their desires. So if they have done many things, their desires must be also very deep and many of them. So if Lord is creating this wonderful universe, he must have many desires, but he is niriha, no desire at all. This was his question, so he said that he is first answering that. Yogamaya Swarup Shakti Vritti Vishesha. Yogamaya, as I said, is one energy of the Lord, and it is belonging to his internal energy. Taya Upabringhita Swansh Maya Dwara Vistarita. So his pastimes, they are arranged by Yogamaya. Yogamaya is like the manager or secretary who is in charge of Krishna's pastimes. She knows exactly what is to be arranged at a particular time. So when Krishna wants to come on earth, then she makes all arrangements. This is her responsibility, very big responsibility. Vishwasthityadaya artha vishya yasam ta. So he says that this, what he is going to talk about here is the creation, maintenance, etc. Maya Shakter Yogamayans Bhutatvasya Narad Pancharatre Drishtatvat. Now, this other Maya, she is also part of Yogamaya, and it is she who participates in the material world. Because Krishna, as we read earlier, does not do everything himself. And we know that there is primary creation, then there is secondary creation and tertiary creation and so on. So he initiates it. Basically he desires, he glances at material nature. And just by his glance, then the atoms of the energy starts churning, and then it starts taking shape, and whatever the electrons, protons, neutrons, they all come into existence, they combine, things start happening, like they're trying to study this Big Bang. So this glance is the Big Bang. And after that things happen, and then there are other people who take care of it. So the energy in charge is called Maya, or sometimes Mahamaya, and it is part of Yoga Maya. Yoga Maya is mainly responsible when Krishna is directly performing something. But when he is appointing others, then at least these three functions are under the purview of Maya. Then she does it. Now in the next verse he starts explaining what was before this creation happened. It says Bhagavan eka ashayidamagre atma atmanam vibhuhu atmaichhanugata vatma nanamatyuplakshanaha. It says in the beginning there was only the Lord Bhagavan, and he is the Atma of Atma. Atma, Atmanam. This universe goes through the cycle of creation, destruction, creation, destruction. So since there is no beginning, because it is a cycle and cycle has no beginning, so to explain he has to begin from somewhere. So he begins just before the creation. So before the creation there is a period of dissolution, which is like the night time, and at that time everything is destroyed. Everything goes back to the level of Prakriti or primordial matter. Now what about the souls? Because souls are not destroyed, and this material world is full of souls. So where do they go? And if it is said that Lord is only one, so how he can be only one? Bhagavan Eka. Eka means one. How is that he is only one? What about all these souls? So he says that all the souls are within him.
In the Lord?
Yes. Atma, Atmanam, Vibhu. So just like there is an ocean, and you put salt into it, and what happens? The salt gets mixed up in the ocean, and it looks that there is only ocean, but actually there is also salt. And then when he wants to create, then he brings the salt out. So salt is not lost. It's not that when salt merges into the ocean water, if you put 5 kg salt into the ocean water, and after 2 minutes you don't see it. But it is not lost. The salt is still there, only thing is that we don't see it anymore. And we cannot now perceive or touch or get it out. And there is a process to get it out. You have to take the water, you have to boil it, and the salt will remain down. So only God can do that. So in dissolution, that's why it is called dissolution. Means everything dissolves into him. And there is only one solution. So that's why there is only one Lord. And then he takes it out. So that is creation. So how he can take it out? Because he is Vibhu. He is the Supreme Person, and he has the power. Only thing is that when in the scripture said that in the beginning he is the only one and in the end only one will remain, their statements, this should not be misunderstood that the jivas or living beings, individuals, they don't exist really speaking. Because there is also a school of philosophy of Advaitavad who says that actually there is only one reality, Brahman, and the living beings are not really existing, because there are statements like this. Because their principle is that what is not in the beginning and what is not in the end is also not in the middle. Adavante yanna asti tadmadhyepi tattatha. It's Shankaracharya's statement. So he says in the beginning there was only Lord, and he says only one. Brahma ek evadam asi. And when the creation will come to an end, only one will remain. So in the beginning one, in the end one, in the middle also it must be one. It only appears many because of illusion. That is very possible. So this one is not in that sense, because when you put salt into the water, then salt is also there. And salt has a different taste and water has a different taste. Salt is salty, water is sweet. So Lord is not lost anywhere. Then he says, what about the desires of living beings? So he says, Atma Ichcha Anugata Atma. And at that time, only Lord has his supreme desire, and others, they are not, because there is nothing to desire at that time. What will they desire? They are in the unmanifest state. There is no physical body, and there is no universe, because this universe is upheld by the jivas. Yaya dhariyate jagat, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. There is another energy called jiva which upholds the universe. Nana mati upalakshana. So all the variety at that time exists or gets merged or dissolved into the one Lord. So this we must understand, that we may think we are independent, but that is only our thinking. At the time of dissolution, this is stopped. There is only He who exists, who can think, who can act, and we are just sleeping, inactive.
But the desires are in the subtle body, no? And the soul now is compared with the salt. Okay, so then the salt is in the water. And but this will of the Lord is the supreme will, but still this must be somewhere where all these desires are stored.
Desires are not stored.
Huh?
Desires come and go. Like you get a desire, then it goes. Why is one even storing it?
Because
It's like thoughts. Thoughts come in your mind, then they are gone.
But in the next creation, they again
Get desire when they see things. When the desire comes. Desire is coming from knowledge. When you have knowledge, then there is desire. So therefore,
no desire.
in the Bible there is a story that when Adam and Eve, they got the knowledge. What is that knowledge tree?
No, the fruit of
They
the knowledge of good and evil.
And they ate the fruit of the knowledge tree, which is good and evil. Means now they got the knowledge, what is good, what is bad. Then they became desirous. And so, what are you doing? You should enjoy. Before that there was no problem. Kind of problem.
What is that?
Is ego something everybody has in the same amount, or some people have more, some people have less
They are different levels.
of?
Some people, just like we have physical body, some people have more weight than others. Some people are more heavy, some people are light.
But the one who have less ego, but they're, I don't know, they're more in goodness or more spiritual.
Less ego, yeah, if they will be. You see, the ego also has some functions. One is being proud, that comes from ego, and other is that you want to do good things, so you can have big ego for that you want to do. That can be in sattva, and you can have small ego, but you are a troublesome fellow. You want to do harm.
So that's what you mean. More ego means they are more, troublesome ego.
Yes.
The rest,
Otherwise,
the same.
Otherwise, people like Mahatma Gandhi, he must have also big ego. Otherwise, how could he do such a thing? So those who are doing some big welfare activity, they also have to have big ego. But when we are talking ego, sometimes it's used for the pride.
For bad ego.
Yeah.
Yogamaya and Mahamaya. Yogamaya is the Ladini Shakti and Mahamaya comes from Yogamaya. Is Mahamaya part of the... Does that make Mahamaya part of the Ladini Shakti as well? Doesn't seem to make sense to me.
Mahamaya or Yogamaya?
Mahamaya. She comes from Yogamaya. She has the opposite function.
Yeah. So what is the problem?
You said Yogamaya comes from the Ladini Shakti.
Yeah.
So...
You have seen fruit? Fruit comes on the tree,
Yeah.
but it tastes completely different from any other part of the tree.
So Mahamaya also comes from that Shakti. Okay. But she's
There's so
dealing
many
with...
parts. Our hair are growing and nails are growing, but they are not exactly like the other parts of the body. They are actually not even sentient.
Even though Mahamaya is dealing with the material energy. Okay. And the other question is regarding the eternal associates. You're explaining the Dura is of two parts. And before we heard how that the demigods have the bodies of the eternal associates and Dwarka.
Yes.
So, what set of demigods are these? Where did they return? Did they return to
They have
the...
their duties, so they go back to their respective places.
Yeah, but what place is that? Is that the spiritual realm where the...
No, not spiritual, I mean the material.
In the
realm.
material realm. Okay. Okay.
You said that the soul enters the sperm of the man and then the union comes, or?
Then it goes into the womb.
I thought that this soul enters only when the two already meet. But now I hear you saying that.
Yeah, but he has to take. What is that?
Soul enters in the grains of Bhagavad-gita sloka.
Yeah, that is also there.
Not what.
In the
They
rain,
fall from the
And
rain,
then-
the
rain,
rain,
the
into the
grain.
grains, grass.
Karmana
and
devanetrena.
that's eternal.
Wander
Except Venus.
Yeah.
That's why we have good brains.
Yeah, but that's for both man and woman.
Yeah, there are also soul in the human body. But the question is for taking birth. It has to go to the woman body.
Yeah. But you
So
say
it goes through the semen.
that I know, but because you say it enters first in the sperm of the man and then it goes to the woman.
Yeah.
So it would only happen that it happened at the time when these two meet.
Yeah, and they two meet, but it is coming. In that
So
sense.
it's already there. Yeah.
Another thing about this.
So there's, you know that in sperm there are polymers.
Because there are many.
Many. So which one
Yeah.
will be
So
attracted?
that is already
That depends.
decided.
No, that depends on the consciousness of the people who are mating. Out of these so many, which one will be successful?
Yeah.
Sure.
That depends on the consciousness of God.
Yeah.
I
Because
think
you
it's
have, you have to attract one of them.
One sperm and then close.
So that's why it is said that this action has to be done with proper consciousness to attract that soul. Otherwise somebody else will come and take the position.
So then, another question about this. Who was she? Satyavati?
So therefore
In the boat?
Swami Ram Sukdas is very much against using any contraceptives. Because he says you are making sure that these souls don't get the chance to come out. So he says this is also same. This is his theory, right?
Yes, true. But about this, who was the mother of Tatarashta?
Mother of Ambika or Ambalika. There were
But she
three
closed the
sisters, Ambika and Ambalika.
Yeah, she closed the eyes.
So either Ambika or Ambalika, one of those two.
And also, my question was this: this lady who could maintain her virginity because of the blessing.
Satyavati.
Satyavati. This is also difficult to understand, no?
Well, these days they do operation.
I mean, to get birth and
You just pay few $100 or dollars and get your virginity back. Good deals. Parasur knew it. At least now people will start believing in Mahabharata.
Advancement.
Previously they thought, how is this possible? This is just crap.
and also this Kunti.
Kunti had the same thing.
Kunti
Surya.
also,
Yes.
And this
And Sikandi changed gender
They're
without an
married.
operation.
Yeah.
So this is the science they knew already. But now people are trying to figure out. This science was already there and they made good use of it.
What is the difference between like yesterday you mentioned that how do I say this? It's the Lahadini Shakti in a small amount that enters the person who desires to hear Bhagavatam. Right. But then I was thinking about this in terms of somebody who's attaining Prem. It's the same Lahadini Shakti. Right?
Yeah, so it can be in different quantities.
It's just in different quantity. But it's still coming from Krishna
Yeah,
in both
comes-
cases.
Yeah, in both cases it comes from him.
Right. But one is being generated by the effort to attain prem, by the effort of the sadhak.
It's not generated, it is given.
It is given.
Nitya siddhasya premasya prakatyam hridi sadhyata.
Okay.
This prem is nitya siddha, it is eternally existing. It is not generated. It's just that it is given.
It is given.
Nitya siddha Krishna prema sadhya.
That is a dormant love, what we are talking about, that is a living entity. This statement is wrong, right? This prema is a Lord, Allah.
Yeah, that is wrong.
Yes.
And about this having the quality coming from the father and mother, no? So this Vyasa is God. And what is the disqualification then to get into this Dhritarashtra? Because although he's the son of Vyasa, he was acting in a way that was somehow against the principle.
Disqualification of Vyasa.
No.
It was not disqualification. Dhritarashtra is also a great person.
Yeah, but he was against Krishna. Actually, it seems like that he was
The
working.
mother is also there, it's not only the father.
So the mother, because she closed somehow the eye.
Yes.
She wasn't receptive.
But is this closing of the eye just external?
Well, it's also not just physical things. He was afraid, she was scared, she
Yeah,
was not accepting
yes.
it.
And that formed the consciousness.
Of course, it's a consciousness. Sometimes when you're doing some action, there is also consciousness behind it.
Mm. So that's what would have brought on the result of blindness,
Yes.
not the external closing of the eyes.
Dhritarashtra also was a great yogi. He was able to give up his body by burning body by yogic fire.
Mhm.